Hello there, and welcome to this live training all about how to take your health back into your own hands moving into 2018. So this is a very exciting topic for me because I feel like this is such a crucial mindset. Oh, I got a kitty, I think, that wants to come on my lap. You want to come say hi to everybody? Oh, come say hi. This is my little chubby Daisy. A little distracting, but isn't she adorable? Say hi. This topic is something that could literally change your life. And the reason why is because most of us have been programmed right from the beginning of our childhood to believe that our body is just a machine and that the expert on that machine is the doctor. Hi, Jamie. Jamie said hi, Daisy. You gonna say hi? And so for a lot of us, we don't really think that we have control over our health. We actually feel like we are victims to our bodies. And when something goes wrong or off, we assume that something went wrong because the machine is failing. And we fail to recognize where our power lies and fail to recognize what the purpose of the disease or the symptom really is and how it can actually serve us in our life moving forward. So I have a belief that disease doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And that's the basic premise that I step into, not just my work with my clients, but into my own struggles with my own health issues. So, I want to be totally transparent with you that I don't, sit up here as a person with everything handled and my health is perfect. There's things that I'm still working on my own body that I either have applied this to or I'm working on. So I'm going to begin by just sort of sharing a little story with you about how I got started as a person who is really passionate about nutrition and health. And I think this story illustrates pretty much everything I'm going to be sharing with you today about how to heal yourself. And remember, because disease happens for you, not to you, for the remainder of your life, you're going to be experiencing your body speaking to you. It's never going to stop. So any time that you get out of alignment in some way, your body is going to give you warning signs through symptoms. And, sometimes it's diet and lifestyle, but a lot of times it's other things. Sometimes it's a combination. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you the story, and then we're going to really get into not just the mindset and the paradigm that you need to have to heal yourself, but also we're going to be looking like literally what are the different facets that you need to put together in your life to actually heal yourself. So I started on this journey in my early 20s. Might have even started when I was 19, but I ended up with mono, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, well, here's your antibiotics for your strep throat, and you basically have to go sleep this off, right? And I was like, well, that sounds bad, right? Like the only option I have is to go sleep for a couple years. And I felt like there probably was something else I could do, even though I hadn't been exposed to the world of natural health in a deep way yet. But I had been in an impactful way. Somebody had planted a seed. And this is so, to me, this is just so special and so important to be doing this live stream today, because if all it does is plant a seed in even one person's mind that could be used in the future, I will be so satisfied by that, because somebody did that for me. And really, it started off when I was in aesthetic school. My very first career was as an esthetician. So, I was spending my days immersing myself in toxins, basically, right? Like from giving manicures to putting my own nail polish on, right? Like literally every day. Before I even started aesthetic school, I was putting nail polish on every single day and taking it off literally every single night and replacing it with a new color to match my outfit for the next day. Like that's how into it I was. And I ended up at school, the instructor, this aesthetics instructor, he basically told us, you should go to the health food store and get this stuff. It's called evening primrose oil, and it's really good for your hair, skin, and nails. So this is now my first experience going into a health food store for anything other than peanut butter. Because the church that I grew up in was in the what's considered the granola area of Winnipeg. And one of my friends, her dad lived there. And so we would sometimes go to the health food store to get natural peanut butter, because I was like, oh my God, natural peanut butter is so much better than, this Jiffy or whatever that is at the regular store. But when I went in there, I just was like, I didn't even look at anything. It was just so foreign to me. I just went straight for the peanut butter, right? So finally, I'm now going to a health food store to actually get something that is not just peanut butter. And I'm going entirely for the purpose of being beautiful. It has nothing to do with health, okay? But I happened to meet this woman who is standing in front of me. She's like so radiant and like 8 months pregnant, super beautiful and kind. And she's telling me the story about how she was told that she had endometriosis and she would never be able to have a baby. And I was like, wow, because here she was standing in front of me pregnant. And she said basically that she'd met her husband and he was a naturopath and he had helped her. And now she was running the store. And there she was pregnant. So when the doctor gave me the antibiotics and told me to go home and there's nothing that could be done, I thought, I'm just going to go back to that store where that woman was and talk to her, because somebody told her that what she had was incurable and she couldn't have a baby. And there she was telling me that she was healed and was 8 months pregnant. So I bet you she has something for me. So I literally went there. Like I said, I was like in my early 20s. I was working as an esthetician. Estheticians get paid pretty much minimum wage plus tips. Okay. So I didn't have a very big budget to buy supplements or anything. And she was just so kind. She literally got out this book, which I'm going to show you. It's called Prescriptions for Nutritional Healing. Every person should have this in their library. Okay. It goes through every, named disease you could possibly think of, not really, really obscure ones, but common ones, and explains the natural health approach to healing that condition. So it has diet, supplements, herbs, lifestyle practices. It's even written by a medical doctor and a nurse. Okay, so for those of you who are heavily programmed to trust, I think most of us are heavily programmed to trust doctors and experts, this could help you. This could really be a bridge for you, because your mind will be like, okay, I'm open to this, and it's written by a medical doctor who I inherently trust because of my societal programming to trust that person. And it's a wonderful book. Let's see. I found that book at Value Village for $4, says Jamie. Yeah, good score. You know what I found? I found at Value Village. I'm going to show you this other book. I wasn't going to bring it out because I'm like, it's more obscure and I don't even know if it's in print anymore. But if you see this one, you got to get it too. Encyclopedia of Natural Healing. Okay, so this book, after I did my whole aesthetics thing and healed myself of mono, which I'll tell you a little bit more in a sec, I was like, I'm going to go work in a health food store because my new passion is nutrition. And this book was always like $70. And again, I was working for minimum wage and it was just out of my budget as far as I was concerned. And I literally just found this at Value Village. Like, it looks like nobody even read it for $5 sometime within the last year. So yeah, score. This is excellent. It's like, not only, it's all the similar stuff that you'll get in Prescriptions for Nutritional Healing, which is definitely more affordable. But it's like full color. Let's see if I can find like full color, and it's great. And it's got a lot of information about the history of natural healing, natural health, which is really also very fascinating. It can help you to understand a bit more about how it works. And I really believe that understanding why something works is really important to get your mind on board to stick with it. Obviously, in this training, we're not going to have time to go into, much detail about everything, right? There's only so much time that we have here. But, I can really tell you from my experience of healing myself and helping other people heal themselves, that it really does work. But it works differently than you might think. When you heal yourself naturally, you're working from a synergistic approach. And there's a lot of different things that you have to put in place to get the results that you're looking for. And unfortunately, the medical paradigm is to throw one thing at a symptom, right? So we have this program that if something goes off, we're going to take a drug that's going to address that exact symptom. And of course, it's a suppressive agent. So it's really not dealing with the problem. But because of that, we have that mindset. We're always looking for one thing to be the answer. So even if we have the natural health consciousness, a lot of people have natural health consciousness. When something goes wrong, they don't immediately go to the doctor. They might go to the health food store. But they are often applying that medical Western paradigm to natural healing, right? So one supplement is not the answer to all of your health problems or your life problems, right? So to get the level of healing and transformation that you're truly looking for, you have to put multiple things together at once. So we're going to be talking more about that as I go through the training here. So back to my story. So this woman, she opens prescriptions for nutritional healing, goes straight to the page on mono. And she literally asked me like how much I can afford to spend. She gives me 30% off of everything so that I can get as much as possible. And I go home and sorry, I got to scratch my nose here. Like my cat left hair under my nose or something. So I literally left that store with as much as I could afford in supplements. I basically spent from that moment on every evening and weekend in either coffee shops, bookstores, libraries, health food stores, studying how do I become healthy? Because I recognized that somehow I had become susceptible to this, right? Not every single person gets mono, yet it's a virus that's out there, right? So I was focused on the question of how do I become healthy? Now, this is pretty unheard of what happened to me. So not only did I buy these supplements, but start doing that research and immediately change my diet from a standard North American diet to a whole foods diet. Within 2 weeks, I felt 70% better. 70% better. Okay. I did not miss one day of work. I did go to bed early every single night for about 2 years. Okay. But I did this entire life transformation, and I had a paradigm shift about reality. Okay. This is what comes along with when you use your dis-ease as a catalyst to transform your life. You truly have a paradigm shift, and you don't get restored. Like most people are looking to restore themselves back to their old state of health where they aren't bothered by the symptoms, right? The point of everything, the whole point of your body giving you these symptoms of you having a so-called dis-ease is your body pushing you to change your life. It is to get you on your true path. Your body does not cause symptoms to make your life a miserable living hell. It's actually trying to push you to grow, possibly out of a miserable living hell, okay? Or past your comfort zone, right? Maybe the thing in your life is not that life is miserable, but maybe you're kind of bored because you're not challenging yourself. And this is an opportunity to use it as a catalyst to open your mind to more possibility in life. Okay, so it transformed everything for me. And like it literally was the catalyst for me to find my life purpose. Okay, before this happened, I mean, I've always been a very deep person, like emotionally, but as far as my interests were concerned, at this point in my life, all I was interested in was like aesthetics. And at the time I was into acting and into singing. I'm still into singing. But I just didn't have like a feeling like I knew what my life purpose was. I just knew what I liked to do for fun, right? This was the catalyst that allowed me to find my life purpose. Like, I don't even know who I would be right now if I didn't get sick when I was in my early 20s. Okay. So to me, this is like my God ordained path of education. Like, this was meant to be. There's no way it couldn't have happened. And this was the catalyst for it to happen. So many people who suffer from illness and overcome it actually find that their path is to help others. And everything that you went through when you were suffering in that disease process and all the mindset stuff that you had to work through and all the fears and everything that you had to process happened so that you could understand what people go through so that you can help others. And, you know, I believe that even if you don't decide that you ever want to, you know, be a nutritionist or a naturopath or some other kind of alternative healer, your journey is still could be a seed for someone else that could literally save their life. So as much as while you're suffering and going through the disease and you're afraid of it and everything, and you wish it would just go away, I promise you on the other side of it, you'll find the meaning in it and the gratitude and the opportunity to have a paradigm shift that can change your life on multiple levels. So one of the other things that it really impacted was it showed me that there's this entirely different world view, that there was people lived alternative lifestyles, ones that actually were a lot more aligned to my soul, but I didn't realize they even existed at this point. I hadn't been exposed to them. Okay. So if I hadn't had this experience and had to search out alternative perspectives, I wouldn't be likely the mother that I am. I wouldn't have had the births that I had, right? Like all this whole natural health thing led me onto learning about attachment parenting, you know, co-sleeping, home birth, unassisted birth, all these different things that my mind would just never have been exposed to. I would have, like any other person, just gone down the path that was expected of me from the mainstream around parenting and childbirth, right? So, you know, it allowed me not just take my power back in my own health, but it allowed me to take my power back as a conscious creator of my reality, my power as a mother, my power as a birthing woman. Okay? It gave me a complete shift. And this is partly what is scary for people about taking their health into their own hands. On some level, you know that you're going to have to challenge your current belief systems, your current concepts of what's true. It challenges you to have to think outside the box. It challenges you to have to be a stronger person because you're going to have to do things that people are going to question. They're going to question your intelligence. They're going to question your sanity sometimes. Okay. They are going to be afraid for you possibly. Okay. You have to literally decide that you're going to make decisions in the face of disapproval because our society is not going to pat you on the back and acknowledge you for doing things your own way. Okay. You may have some friends who understand, you know, your journey and think outside the box, but really it is it's a challenge for most people to take their health into their own hands just because of our primal human need for approval. Like when you go to your doctor and you don't understand something or you don't agree with it, how do you feel when you want to question them? You feel afraid. You feel that you're going to be put down or patronized because that's what often happens in the system. And so a lot of times people won't ask the questions that they really are weighing on their heart that they need answered, or they don't tell their practitioner or doctor what they're doing because they're afraid of getting mocked or put down in some way. So you can see that this journey of healing yourself is a journey of spiritual growth because you're going to have to stand up for your beliefs. You're going to have to take emotional risks to ask questions. Okay, so there's so many different dynamics that come into play when we take our health into our own hands. And so it's really obvious why it's something that a lot of people don't do. And that's just on one level, right? The other aspect of it is that a lot of people are resistant to any change, just in general. There's many people for whom the medical system serves perfectly well because they don't want to make any changes in their life. They don't want to change diet. They don't want to change lifestyle. They don't want to change their outlook on life. They're not looking for a paradigm change. They're not looking to transform their life. They're just wanting things to go back to the way they were, which is, you can have the sensation of that happening if you suppress something with a drug, right? But the truth is that anytime you suppress something with a drug, you're pushing that disease deeper into the body and making a worse disease in the future. Plus popping up new symptoms, right? Because your body's like, okay, well, you didn't listen to that one, so let's see what else I can scream at you to get your attention. And then you have these people who are like 60, 70, 80 years old on like 20 medications, 10 for their original symptoms and another 10 for the other symptoms that come from the drugs, right? Like, it's ridiculous. And it really comes down to this thought that disease is something that just happens to us, that we're a victim of it. It's so funny to me, actually, because we live in this world where people bow down to science like it's a religion. And it's so, to me, unscientific to say that everything in this world has cause and effect, but not disease. Disease just happens randomly. Little genes fire off for no reason. Okay. And if you get sick, it's because it just happened. There's nothing you could have done to change it, and there's nothing you can do to change it. Okay. That's ridiculous. That's like so illogical. But yet we believe this. And on one level, if we're not willing to have that transformation, we don't want to believe it's possible that we can heal ourselves. Because then we have to go, oh, I am responsible? No. People don't want to do that when they are not at the level of consciousness to actually do this work. Okay. So, if you're watching this as a practitioner, you have to bear this in mind, because sometimes when you empower people, it disempowers them. So if they are not at the level of consciousness to be able to use healing as a catalyst to change their life, when you share with them the power that they have, it can actually cause anxiety and fear, okay? Because they're just not ready for it. So you have to really feel into the person that you're talking to. So sometimes, if I'm talking to somebody and I can sense that they're not ready for this, I will think, okay, well, what can I offer them that can give them relief from their symptoms that is natural? So at least they don't have side effects, right? They're not getting toxins. But the kind of people that I like to work with are the kind of people who go, hell yeah, I want to look at what this really means, this thing, and I want to transform not just my health, but my entire life. Okay, so that is, I believe, what this is meant to be for us. Now, we all take a different journey to get there. And, it's not a straight and narrow path, and it's different for every person. And this is another reason why it can be really difficult for people to get their head around healing themselves naturally, because they're looking for a very linear path to do that, right? They're like, okay, well, so-and-so, had this disease and they healed themselves. And they're hoping that if they do the exact same things in the same order, in the same way, that they'll get the same results. But it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it does, right? Sometimes it really does. Just taking one of these protocols out of these books that I shared with you and following them to a T, and you can get amazing results. That's often when the condition that you're working with is really a more physical thing. It has to do with improper diet and lifestyle choices. But when you have other stuff going on in addition to that, like emotional trauma, baggage, maybe you hate your job. You don't feel like you're on purpose in life. Maybe you have an unhealthy relationship. Now we have a whole bunch of other things that we have to deal with at the same time, because these things are impeding your vital force, which is actually what's doing the healing, right? It's your vital force that's doing the healing. The healer doesn't do the healing. Okay. You don't do the healing. You simply just provide your body with what it needs. So that's the raw materials nutritionally, right? And other aspects as well, right? Like the mindset and the love, right? The human touch, all these different things are essential for the healing process. And you eliminate the stuff that is impeding your vital force. So what's in the way of it? Again, it can be mindsets. Okay? There's something called the nocebo effect. It's where you literally stop yourself from healing with belief, or you cause disease by a negative perspective. Or, sometimes people will read something, it scares them, and then they focus on it and obsess about it. and they literally can actually create it in their reality. Okay. The witch doctor idea, for example, where somebody puts a curse on another person and they die the next day because they believe it, right? Like all these factors are playing into it. So it makes it a lot more difficult for somebody to do the work of healing themselves naturally and synergistically when they're not used to thinking in this way, when they're not used to thinking for themselves. Okay, because when you go to school, you've been taught that there's one right answer for everything. And that's the program. And everybody's afraid to make the wrong decision, the wrong choice, the wrong whatever. It's just, we're afraid, right? We're afraid to be wrong. And so we have a lot of doubt that comes up. And of course, when it comes to your body, let's face it, everyone is afraid of dying. Okay, so at the end of the day, that is like, the thing that makes it so that we oftentimes are acting and making choices and decisions out of fear because of that fear of death. So the point of like healing ourselves naturally is not to like avoid death forever, right? I mean, that's not the human experience. Death is a part of the human experience. The point is to live as consciously and healthily till your death, right? Like you can, like all these old people are like sick and then they die. They didn't need to be sick and die. They could have lived a really healthy life until their death, living their life on purpose, not, waiting for retirement to live their life. Okay. So we have, a mental block. And just so I am going to get into like exactly the things you need to put in place to heal yourself. Okay. I'm going to get into that, but I really want to just go into this mindset stuff because you actually have to be in the right frame of mind to be able to utilize this. Okay. So I want to show you, for anyone who is, confused about systems thinking or just doesn't naturally think in systems. So what thinking in systems means is you're basically thinking in a synergistic way. So you are holding in mind multiple factors together, and then using your mind and your heart and your gut to make decisions, holding multiple factors in place. This is not how we've been schooled, educated. We've been educated in a more reductionist type of way of looking at everything by just like breaking it down into its smaller parts and looking at everything separately, right? So for a lot of people, it can be difficult to think in systems and to be like, what? I have to implement this, but I don't have like a specific path to follow. That can be hard, right? So, I've done my best to create systems to follow inside of this big system. But at the end of the day, as much as it can be linear when you look at it, like make sure you do this, 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 and this, but the order in which you put things together will be totally different, right? From one person to the next. So if you are interested in reading about how to think in systems, if it doesn't come naturally to you, okay, there's this really great book, okay, by Donella H. Meadows. She's passed away now. But she literally, it's almost like she teaches systems, but she reduces things down for you and gives a lot of different examples to help your brain get around that. Okay. There's a lot that you would be missing out on in terms of awareness if you haven't learned to think in systems. For example, Chinese medicine is a medical perspective that is not Western, and it's totally based on thinking in systems, making connections between things, looking at the synergy of things. Okay. In Chinese medicine, the approach to healing a certain disease, if you had 5 people with diabetes, because of the etiology of the disease, meaning like how it actually was initiated in the body, those 5 people might have a totally different like pathway into why they were susceptible to diabetes. And so they would all get different medicine and a different approach. But sometimes people with multiple different types of diseases get the same approach, right? So you got one person with diabetes, one with cancer, one with MS, and the factors that came together to make them susceptible to disease were similar. The etiology is similar, so they actually get the same medicine, even though they have a different diagnosed disease, okay? And this can be, again, hard for the Western trained mind to get around because we've been literally trained not to think in this way. So I would totally recommend, if you are a linear thinker and this is like, whoa, overwhelming to, get your head around, is to really like get that book and read it. And then once you get that, you're just going to see the world in a totally different way. It's going to open your mind to so many more possibilities. Okay. So this is another example of a paradigm shift that can come out of taking your health into your own hands, because you're going to have to take responsibility for everything, including getting the proper information. Most of us, before we get this shift and see that it's empowering, okay, we don't like it. We wish we could just hand it over to the experts and someone to take it away for us. Okay. I'm no different than anyone else. I've got stuff going on in my body right now that I would love to just like cut out. Okay. But I'm stubborn. I'm not going to do that. My decision is to, so I'll give you an example. I have varicose veins. Okay. So my decision about that is to actually stop. It's like one of the next things on my list, and to really look at how do I heal this? Because here's the thing. When I got the varicose veins, I was already a Whole Foods eater. Okay. I was pregnant with my son, Isaiah. I was walking 40 minutes to work every single day and back, and had a healthy lifestyle. Right. So when I got those varicose veins, I went into a state of futility. Why? Because I was like, well, I'm already doing everything right. And if I'm already doing everything right and it doesn't work, then there's no hope for me, right? So at this point, a lot of people would have already had them like lasered out or, whatever. Because I've had them, like Isaiah's 16, okay? So they haven't gotten any worse, but they haven't gotten any better. And I just haven't set the time aside yet to do the inner work, okay? So I recently just went and got herbs. So I'm starting with that. I'll probably update this in the future. Jamie, it feels safer to take care. I'm just going to read Jamie's comment here. It feels safer to me to take care of myself rather than hand my health over to someone else after what I've been through in the system. Oh, totally. Yeah, it's because you're at a different stage of consciousness. You know so much at this point and the limitations of the medical system, and that doctors aren't gods and that they make mistakes. And already that it is safer for you to take your health into your own hands. It doesn't mean that you disrespect doctors. It doesn't mean that you don't listen to what they have to say, but that you get to decide what you're going to do with your body. You use the medical system as information. Okay. So just back to my process around this will be everything that I'm sharing with you here today. Okay. I will be doing the inner work on it. And one of the things, because I've already started to do the research on like, what is the metaphysical cause of varicose veins? And of course I wasn't willing to do the work on this for the last 15 years, because for the last 15 years, I wasn't willing to actually acknowledge the lack of support in my life. Okay. Let's get more specific. I was willing to acknowledge the lack of support, but I wasn't willing to set the boundaries in my life to make sure that I was only allowing people in my life who were supportive, right? So I wasn't willing to do the inner work. Actually, as I'm talking about this, I can actually feel the vein in my leg. It actually just had like a throbbing pain in it. So I know that this is the part of the healing of these veins has to do with doing that inner work and exploring that topic and exploring why was I not willing to, take a stand for myself, essentially. Okay. Interestingly enough, that I just used those words and I'm talking about my legs, and every single thing that, we have in our life, in something that's off in our body, it has a message for us. Okay. So whether you deal with it right away, like I wish I would have dealt with it 15 years ago, but I didn't. Okay. So I'm not going to blame myself and feel bad and feel guilt, but I am going to acknowledge the reality that I am 100% responsible. It doesn't matter, who wasn't supporting me. The point is that I chose to stay in that relationship. So That's 100% my responsibility. We are not responsible for, anyone else and what they do, but we are responsible for our choices in relationship to that. Okay, so, there's a lot of things that we feel in our life that are insurmountable, and we don't take action on. And that choice to not take action is a choice. And we did it, right? So if we don't ask for help, then that's a decision. So it's still 100% responsibility. And if you want to have 100% of your power to heal yourself, you have to take 100% responsibility for every aspect of it. Okay. I'm just going to see what Jamie said. I don't have my glasses on, so I have to come really close to the screen here to actually read it. She said, wow, this is awesome. I have similar trigger symptoms too. Yeah. Yeah, it's very common, right? A lot of people struggle with that feeling. And a lot of women get there while they're pregnant. And it's a time when you'd be more susceptible to it, right? Because you are in a more vulnerable state. You do need to be more supported than you ever needed to before. And if your partner isn't stepping up to do that, then you're going to feel even more unsupported than maybe just you normally would in life. Because now you're needing to, you're now the matrix for another human being, right? And if you're going to be the matrix for someone else, you also need to be, supported in your life. Okay. So a lot of things that women are susceptible to will actually surface in pregnancy because of the added stress of the physiological stress and other stresses that women have. It's actually something that if you're pregnant and you're getting a symptom, oftentimes it'll go away after, but it's telling you that that's your area of susceptibility in the future. So it's a good thing to notice, as a woman, as a health practitioner, looking into your clients' lives, seeing where you could actually support them to get stronger in that area that they're susceptible so that they don't actually end up manifesting disease later in life, right? So for example, the women that get gestational diabetes would be the perfect example. After they give birth, their blood sugar stabilizes, but they get it later in life. And it was the stress of the pregnancy that was showing them their susceptibility. Let's see if you said anything else here. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else did I want to cover? I have notes here. Mostly I do a lot of things these days without notes. But I felt like this topic was so important. I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Okay. So one of the things, a specific way that you yield your power in life is by making decisions. Okay. So this is where it gets tough, right? When you're taking your health into your own hands, is because if you're not, putting that decision into your health practitioner's hands, then you're taking it back, because now you're responsible for the decision, right? It's okay, so if the health practitioner tells you to do something and it doesn't work, or it's the wrong thing, or you die, okay, on some level, you can act the victim, right? Because you put it in their hands to make the decision. Whereas if you did what you thought was right and you made a decision yourself, okay, now you have to take responsibility for that. That's another really hard thing, right? And none of us, again, because of this program of wanting to avoid disapproval, nobody wants to be seen as somebody who did the wrong thing or who made a mistake. Okay. So, wow, the level of personal self-growth and conviction that it takes to take your health into your own hands, you need to be supported. You need to be supported by other people who can support you to do that, who believe in you, who will validate you, who will help you process your decision-making. It's not easy to do on your own, especially in a world where it is considered irresponsible to not do what your doctor told you. Okay. Now I want to say again, I am not telling you not to listen to your doctor. I don't know your unique situation, but what I want to tell you is get really clear on why you are going to the doctor, okay? Because there's only 3 things on the menu when you go there, okay? One is you're going to get a diagnosis. That to me is the most useful aspect of seeing a medical doctor. They're really good at that. So how are you going to heal yourself naturally if you don't know what you're dealing with, right? So that's great. You can get a diagnosis. But now the options that are going to be given to you related to that diagnosis are going to either be drugs or surgery. Okay. So if you're not interested in drugs or surgery, you're probably not the best person to like put in charge of your health or to put on a pedestal about the information they're providing is probably not a medical doctor. Okay. That's for people who are in the space of not being ready yet to take their health into their own hands or to use their health challenges as a transformative process. Okay. But if you're watching this, 100% guaranteed you're capable of doing this because you wouldn't be attracted to watching this. So be clear. Go to the doctor for the diagnosis. Go to your alternative health practitioners and your amazing resources, your books on natural health to find alternative ways to heal yourself. Okay. Doctors are amazing for medical emergencies. They're amazing for when you left something too long, okay, and you should have dealt with it already, okay? They can really, really help you. They can buy you time, okay? And sometimes it's just actually necessary, okay? So, you know, I'm personally, like with this varicose vein thing, I'm putting a time limit on it, okay? So in the natural health world, we have this saying that it takes a month for every year that you've had the problem, okay? So I went and got myself some herbs for veins. And I've had it for 15 years, 16, my son's 16, so 16 years. So my commitment is to buy one bottle of herbs, okay, for the next 16 months, okay? My other commitment is to do the inner work on it and then to literally become an expert by studying everything I possibly can on how to heal varicose veins. And now, here's the next part. Okay, this is a big part. What I have to do is reprogram my mind about this, okay? Because my mother and my grandmother had varicose veins, and they would always say to me, oh, we hope you don't end up like us. We all get varicose veins, right? And, you know, at this point when I was young and I had already been introduced to natural health, I was like, yeah, right. That's not going to happen to me. I'm not like unhealthy like you guys, right? Well, life showed me that it doesn't matter necessarily what you believe on the conscious level. It's your subconscious programming that is driving your life, and your body is reflecting that subconscious programming. So while I did not believe intellectually that I would be susceptible to varicose veins just because they were, that it didn't matter. I still manifested it. So, and like I said, I did all the diet and lifestyle stuff that I was at least aware of at the time that I shouldn't have been susceptible to varicose veins. And I was doing yoga as well, okay, on top of everything I said that I was doing. So I had that program. But now I have another program to deal with around varicose veins. The medical paradigm says it's incurable, right? So I literally have to program my subconscious mind while I'm doing all this other stuff, okay, to believe that my legs are the divine design that God created them. I just have to keep programming my subconscious mind with that. So how do you do that? Well, you get out a piece of paper and you literally write affirmations that you would like to be the truth, okay? And you literally every morning when you get up, you say them to yourself and before you go to bed, because these 2 times of the day your mind is the most impressionable, your subconscious mind, right? Like you were programmed up to the age of 7, and that's all stuff that now you have to undo. But as an adult, you have the opportunity to reprogram or reparent your own subconscious mind. So you consciously put stuff in there. How it gets in there is through that theta consciousness of when that dreamy state, when you first wake up and when you go to bed at night, but also repetition. Repetition is what programs your subconscious mind. Okay, so I will be doing work like that on it as well. And one more piece. This is really, really important when you're healing yourself. you have to go looking for stories of people who've done what you want to do. And it's not because you're going to do the exact same thing, but you're going to get a lot of clues from them and what they did and what worked for them. So my subconscious mind needs proof that it can be done. So I need to go look for it. Okay. And then that will help program my mind that it's possible. So when you have a named disease, okay, you have to, you're going to have more attachment to it because you've been told that you have it. And then what we do is we start to identify with it. Okay. We even sometimes bond with other people over our diseases. Okay. So there's a lot of drama that goes on here. Some people don't want to heal because they don't want to give up their identity, right? Like it's intense. Or they don't want to give up their limitations. Somehow the disease is serving them. And if they gave up the disease, they feel like something would be missing that they need. They need it for some reason. It serves a purpose in their life. So that's the kind of also inner work that you want to do. I feel like I was going to say something, then I lost track of it, but I'm going to go back to these comments, see if it comes back. Oh, okay, cool. Jamie says, now I want to go back and explore any symptoms I had in my pregnancies. Yeah, exactly. One thing I had when I was pregnant, I thought, oh, this is awesome. Because my progesterone was so high, like I am like the happiest pregnant woman like ever. Okay. My tendency, my own hereditary weakness is to have hormonal issues, right? So PMS stuff, right? A lot of more moody kind of things. When I was younger, cramps and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I know how to take care of that at this point in my life. But what I noticed was that because my progesterone is so high, I felt so happy that I was like, awesome. This is like, this is my body telling me that the older I get, the happier I'm going to be. So it can be good things too, right? Okay. So what else we got here? Oh, hi, Jane. Adding things that help your belief. Yes. Yes. Can you give an example of what you write before bed? Okay. So, I haven't actually started the affirmations for my legs yet. I wanted to do the journal exercise first, to find out which, belief systems I need to actually plug in and which ones I have to pull out. Okay. So I have started reading about it from the metaphysical aspect. So now I need to do the journal exercises. That will help me uncover the belief systems. Once I have the belief systems that are keeping the dis-ease in place, then I switch those around into affirmations. But one of the ones that I just gave like a couple minutes ago, which you can do for any part of your body, is just like to say, like, my legs are their divine design, which means they're the design that the creator gave to you, your blueprint, when you came onto this earth. Okay. I mean, like that's sort of like a linear way of looking at it. There is the diet and the lifestyle, but then you have to find out the metaphysical cause of the disease, find out through the journaling exercise, which particular beliefs you have. Okay. Because it's going to be different. The programs that you're going to have from your parents are going to be different than I had from mine. Right. Plug that in. Okay. So then I've got the 16 months. Okay. In 16 months, if they're even 50% gone, I'm going to keep going, right? Duh. Why wouldn't I keep going? And at the end of the day, if you don't get the results you're looking for and you end up using drugs or surgery, okay, because you've hit a wall or something and you need relief or whatever it is that would cause you to do that, at least you can rest assured that you did everything in your power. You took responsibility where you had it and did everything you could. If in 16 months from now, these varicose veins have not healed, do you think I'm going to regret doing the inner work or taking the herbs? No. I mean, the herbs work on like overall circulation. They're going to improve other things, right? So all of the things that you would do naturally to heal yourself, you're never going to regret doing because they're going to get you to increasing levels of health. As long as you're moving in the direction of increasing levels of health, well, then you're moving in the right direction. Sometimes we do not get to decide. Well, not sometimes we never get to decide, right? Our vital force does the healing and our body knows what the priority is. Okay. So I might think, well, I want these varicose veins to go away. Okay. But maybe there's something else in my body that my body feels is more important than varicose veins. And for those 16 months, it's working on that. And I can't see it happening on the inside, right? You have to trust that your body knows what's best for you and in what order things should heal. Okay. And then on the other hand, there's, scenarios where, I've had situations working with clients where I've given them a protocol for something that, one example is of somebody who had chronic constipation for 20 years. And when I gave them the protocol, I said, well, you've had this problem for 20 years. So if it takes even 6 months before you start to notice the benefits, you have to stick with this because you've had this problem for so long, right? 2 weeks later, she's on the phone with me saying that she's going regularly every single day after 2 weeks. Okay. So you also don't want to limit your mind. Okay. I don't need to limit my mind with that thought like, oh, it'll take 16 months. Okay. For these varicose veins to heal. I could let that entirely go, but I'm just trying to give you a guideline because this world is, we're looking for quick fixes all the time, right? Everybody wants a pill to solve everything and they want it done tomorrow. And that's a big problem. That's not the mind. You can't step into healing yourself with that mindset, but you also need to unlock the possibility that you can heal overnight, right? Like there's this video, what's his name? Was Bruce Lipton showing it? No, it's not Bruce Lipton. It's another guy. Jamie says, is there a book you suggest about disease linked to emotional issues? Oh yes, I have lots of those, but I did bring one that I really like. Okay. I've got many more than this. So I often check multiple sources, but this is a great one for everyone to have on hand. Your body's trying to tell you to love yourself. Right. What was I going to say? What was I even talking about? Healing, limitations. Oh, so Greg Braden. There's a video, it's probably on YouTube somewhere, where he literally shows 3 people using intention to dissolve a tumor in 3 minutes. Using intention. They have it on an ultrasound. And you're seeing it shrink. Okay. The potential that we have is, it's all in our mind. And we just haven't quite learned yet how to tap into that. Right? Think of people who have multiple personality disorders. I've heard of the same story twice now, once from Anthony Robbins and the other from Dr. Bruce Lipton, who is an amazing cellular biologist who wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. It's fantastic. He tells a story about this woman who has food sensitivities, but they're like beyond food sensitivities. They are like anaphylactic shock type of allergies, okay? But only one of her personalities has it. So if her other personality is front and central, she can eat that food and her body doesn't react at all. Okay. So that doesn't tell you how much the mind is involved in healing and your potential to heal and to unblock your healing. I don't know what would, honestly. The other part of it is that diet and lifestyle is physical medicine. Okay. The physical world doesn't move as fast as energy medicine. Okay. So if you're going to just deal with like food and lifestyle, you're going to get results slower than if you add energy healing into that. Okay. Like acupuncture or Reiki or theta healing or body talk or whatever turns your crank. Okay. All of those things can help you get results much faster. And speaking of, disease as being a catalyst for transforming your life and getting you on your path, about a year before this whole mono thing happened to me, I was on a plane flying from Vancouver to Winnipeg, and I think it was on my way back actually. So doesn't even matter, does it? Anyhow, I sit beside this woman, and she starts telling me that she's an energy healer, and she starts teaching me about how we create our own reality. Okay, she was basically telling me about like the Celestine prophecy and stuff like that. This is like 1994, 95, or 95 or 96, and she's telling me about how this concept of like energy and creating your own reality had totally changed her life. And she said to me, I wish that I was you sitting here right now. Because she just was like amazed at how different her life would be if she had known it, 20 years earlier, like at the point when I was learning it. Okay. And It was like God put her on that plane beside me so I could understand the power of energy medicine. And I want to make sure you understand that this was incorporated in my healing myself of mono. I literally, as soon as because at that point I was like, you know, the medical perspective has nothing for me. I have to go to these alternative healers. So not only did I do the supplement and the diet, but I also contacted this woman, and she did something on me. I think it was called like BioK or something. I don't know. Like it was so kooky to me, but yet it was working, and it intellectually made sense to me. I'm a natural systems thinker, so I just get a lot of this stuff. And so she was doing things like putting like flashlights on my third eye and like moving muscle testing, doing all sorts of crazy things. And what I noticed is I went to see her every single month for a year. And in that year, I'd always noticed that about the end of every month, I would start to feel myself like crashing a little bit. And then it's almost like the physical medicine was not able to do its job anymore. Like something energetic went off. And then I would go see her, and then boom, everything would start working again. And so I really want to encourage you that if you have been only using natural medicine by just using diet and lifestyle and supplements, and you're stuck, that you need to go and get support in other ways. You need that energy medicine so you can get speed, like more speed, right? Energy is instantaneous. That's why people have miraculous overnight healings, because energy can do that. And surround yourself with people who can hold you as being healed. You sometimes have to borrow other people's faith until you can have it for yourself. Okay. So you want to, if you have something that's considered incurable, you need to turn the volume down on every single resource, doctor, friend, family member who is talking doubt and fear and lack into your life and is saying that it's not possible to heal. You cannot give them your attention. To turn the volume right down on that. Do not spend as little time near those people as possible. Then you got to turn the volume up on all the people and all the resources and all the stories and all of the amazing work that people are doing in the alternative health field to support you, to change your paradigm, to take your health into your own hands, and turn the volume up on that. That's where you have to stick your focus. And then you have to work with those people. Let them help you. Okay. The healing process is synergistic. You have to put everything into place that is required for you to heal. That means addressing all the specific, unique issues that cause you to be susceptible to that condition in the first place. Okay. So I'm just going to go back to my notes here. I think I've got everything to do with the mindset. I think I covered all that. Yes, one. Okay. All right. So this is perfect. I'm at the perfect spot right now to go through the specific things. So here's I said this was a step-by-step, but really it's not step-by-step. It's not a linear thing. It's more like the spokes on a wheel of things that you want to put in place to support your body to heal. This is all stuff you're going to do that's going to enliven your vital force. So your body will just do what it's meant to do. It will do it as long as it has what it needs and it no longer has what it doesn't need. Okay. So I just want to, just before I get into these 14 things, okay, this is going to be a long live stream. So I understand if you have to get off and come back to it later. But I wanted to go into as much depth as I possibly could because I think it's just such an important topic and it's just not talked about. People stay stuck in that diet and lifestyle or just the medical paradigm, but it's everything. Okay. And actually I'm going to be, once I'm done this live stream, I'm going to download it as a video, upload it to YouTube and upload it to my business page so that you can share it with your friends because I think it's so important that it gets into the hands of people. I just wanted to do it in this group because I wanted to offer something special to you guys to be able to, get on live and have this conversation. So, I believe it's Dr. Stephen Covey. He has this really great model for helping people when they are stressed and fearful about things. And it's basically like he writes these two circles. I don't know if you can see this, but it's like your circle. You have the circle in the middle. You have what you can control, and on the outside you have what you can't control. Okay, so in order to assume your power and actually be able to implement things that will help you and serve you to heal yourself, you're going to have to stay focused on what you can control. Okay. There's maybe all these other fears of what if, okay, especially when something's going on in your body and you can't see it, right? Like, it's harder. Let's face it, okay? For me to look at my varicose veins and be observing to see if what I'm doing is working is a lot easier for me than somebody who's suffering from cancer and can't actually see what's going on in their body, okay? But the same thing applies. It doesn't matter what you're suffering with. You have to only spend your focus. You have to get a hold of your mind and focus on only the things you have control over, okay? You do not have control over, unless you're a medical medium, like going in there and looking, okay? But you may be able to develop that intuitive power. Honestly, you can go, this is your body, this is your life. You have to do everything you possibly can to assume any responsibility you can, anywhere you can find it, right? Like, if you are suffering right now from an incurable disease and you're super shit scared and you're having a really hard time, you need to get help from other people who can support you and do things like study theta healing. Okay, you can learn to actually use your intuition to look inside your body and to look inside other people's bodies. These things exist, but you have to go get them, right? They're not in the mainstream. They're not like, going to fall into your lap unless you're watching this and it's for you and this falls into your lap, right? Because sometimes that's how things fall into our laps. Just we hear about it. Somebody says it, right? But you have to focus on where you have control. Now I'm going to show you 14 areas you have control. Okay. What you have to do is focus on what you have control over, actually implement that, and everything else, let it go. Okay. Because you know you don't have control over there. So why put your focus there? Because as soon as you put your focus on what you don't have control over, it immobilizes, right? You get stuck. You can't move. So you have to move that focus away to what you have control over. So, I teach a lot about doing mindset work for lots of different reasons, but for health as well, right? Like, if you wake up in the morning and you're afraid, you're going to have to get up, like sit down, do your affirmations, do your emotional releasing or EFT, get that stuff moving, go read a book on somebody who healed themselves, okay? Or just general health. You got to focus on health. You have to focus on health. Because if you're not focused on health, if you're focused on the name disease, you're holding disease in mind. You're going to be manifesting disease. Okay. This is one of the reasons why I did a video before. I was like, I don't like working with sick people. And I was like, why would somebody who helps people with their health say that? Because I don't like working with people who identify as being sick. Because as soon as you are holding that belief system and feeling about yourself in mind, and that name disease that somebody diagnosed you as, it's an obstacle to your healing because you're seeing yourself as that thing. Okay, so you have to see yourself as healthy. You have to actually focus on stuff that's health related in a positive way, not health to avoid disease, health to be healthier. Okay, this is one of the reasons I love working with weight loss. Okay, I used to work with gut issues and skin conditions and stuff like that. And when people have those, they're more identified with the problem, okay, in a way where they feel fear, okay? And that works. It doesn't matter if it's, eczema or gut issues or weight loss. You're still going to have to assume 100% responsibility for your health. You're still going to have to do the mindset work because there's many blocks people have about weight loss that have nothing to do with their physiology. It has to do with their mind. This applies to everything across the board, like everything. This could apply to relationships. This could apply to money. This could apply to anything, right? The mindset that we have is either projecting what we want into our future or projecting all the things that we fear, which is the things we don't want. But at the end of the day, we're still projecting more of what we don't want, and then we create it. And I know some people may not actually believe in that, and you're going to have to start believing in it to see it. And then that is how you will then start to trust it more because you've experienced it, okay? And then it'll just become self-apparent. Just think about it. Think of 1 hour a day that you're going to take yourself away from that monkey mind that just goes on and on about all this garbage that is just repeating from the tape that you've been subconsciously programmed.
Over time that adds up, okay? And it starts to shift and change quicker than you would imagine. It sounds so simple.
And that's probably why people don't do it, is because we have this human tendency, the ego likes everything to be complicated. We want like a special pill or a special diet or a special doctor or something like that to solve all our problems. But the answers are simple, not always easy to do, because taking self-responsibility for ourselves requires consistency and discipline, right? But nevertheless, just start the journey, right? Just be on the path. And it doesn't matter how slow you're going, at least you're not on that other degenerative path where you're letting everything, fall apart and not taking responsibility for it. To me, that gives me a lot of comfort, just to know that I'm on the right path, that I've gotten onto the right path. Okay, so you have the ability to do that, and how you'll know is based on like how you're feeling. How you're feeling in this moment is going to show you what direction you're going with your thought patterns and your emotions and what you're going to be creating for the future. Because what we feel now is manifesting what comes next. Okay, so sometimes we get upset because we're like, oh shit, I was doing all this inner work and blah, 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 and then this bad thing happened. I guess it doesn't work. But it's like, no, that's a manifestation of the past. Now your next obstacle is to get through it this time without becoming a victim. Then you don't have to live it again. But every time you come up against it as a victim, you recreate it. Okay. All right. So let's go through the areas where you do have control, where you can focus your attention. So number one, you have to think of taking a multifaceted approach. Every person who ever healed themselves of something so-called incurable did it by incorporating multiple things at a time. It's not going to just be one pill. Okay. Sometimes it's, like I said, sometimes if you don't have a lot of emotional issues and it's not a very big deal and you haven't had it for a long time, sometimes just going to the health food store and grabbing the right herbs or the right vitamin can actually relieve the problem, okay? If that's the causal level, but we're always looking for the cause, right? So for most people, the cause is multifaceted. It is not just the diet and lifestyle, it's emotions, okay? It's relationships, it's all these different things, okay? But number two is you do need to incorporate a proper diet. Okay, so the diet that is right for one person isn't right for everyone. Okay, so the simplest thing that I can say in the context of this live stream is it doesn't matter to me what your diet is at this point, as long as it's based on whole foods. You're on the right path. Okay, so if you haven't made the switch from the standard North American diet to simply only eating foods that are real, meaning they've grown in the ground, okay, or they've come off a tree, and you have to actually prepare the food, okay? If it comes in a box and it has all these different weird chemical names to it, that's not a food, that's a food product, okay? You have to make that. That's the first step for everyone, okay? Beyond that, it's individual and unique to each person. Okay, so number three is supplements. It's not that you can't heal without supplements, but you can actually speed your healing when you incorporate the right supplements into your approach to healing. Ideally, they're natural. They are not synthesized. Sometimes when you have somebody with a lot of food sensitivities, they can't actually handle the natural source vitamins. There's often a lot of like food-based ingredients that are added to it, and that can set up food sensitivities. In that case, you want it to be more of a pharmaceutical grade supplement so that you're not having that, it's more hypoallergenic. But for most of us who don't have that problem, it's better to have something that's actually extracted from food. And there are supplement companies now that make vitamins. They literally develop them from food, like organic food. So, and especially if you're pregnant, I would highly recommend that as well. Because obviously babies are more susceptible to toxins and, synthetic ingredients and stuff like that. And we don't know what those synthetic ingredients are when we buy those cheap vitamins. So that's another reason why I don't think that it's a good idea to use synthesized supplements. So you basically can go to the health food store and certain brands, they'll say like food-based, for example, and even New Chapter, which is not, it's made with synthetic vitamins. They put it in with whole foods and then they ferment it, and it makes it more bioavailable. That it's a little bit less expensive than say the Mega Food brand. So if you're looking for something in between, that would be decent brand to use. Number 4, eliminate toxins. Okay, so there is, you are weakening your body when you are exposing yourself to toxicity. Okay, your liver is now, instead of doing all of its amazing jobs that it does so well, it's busy dealing with toxins. And so it compromises your vitality. Okay. There's toxins that are generated from the environment. And again, you have to do this focus of control here, or the locus of control. You don't have control over everything. Okay. Like I don't really have control right now over like when the walls were last painted in this house. Okay. And if it's still off gassing. Okay. If I want to be paranoid and like, I mean, I could be fearful, but I'm not. I'm not stepping into these ways of living so that I can avoid disease necessarily. It's about wanting to be as healthy as I can be. Okay. So you don't want to have fear about it, but you do want to take control where you have it. Okay. So if you can purchase, say, for example, you need to go buy furniture. If you can buy your furniture from a vintage store where it's not going to be off gassing, that's a great choice. You have control over that. Or if you have the budget for it, there's stores that actually make organic cotton furniture that doesn't off gas. Okay, so you do what you have control over. You can burn beeswax candles and clean the air in your house. You can put your house full of plants to clean the air. There are things that you have control over. Do them. You don't have to buy toxic makeup and skincare, right? Like you can buy natural mineral-based products. Your skin eats. Okay, so if the shampoo you're using and the cleaning products and the makeup and all the stuff that you're putting on your skin, creams, etc., if those are full of chemicals, you might as well just be eating about a tablespoon of chemicals every single day, or more, depending on how much of the stuff you've used, right? Shampoo, conditioner. It is literally absorbing in your skin, like as though it was just going in your mouth. Okay, that would be a source of externally generated toxins. I believe that the reason that I was susceptible to mono was because I was working in a salon and I had my hands in chemicals all day. And then it wasn't just like, I wasn't a hairdresser, but I was surrounded by hairdressers. So then I was getting like all of those toxins as well. So, I did eventually have control over that. I left, right? Like I literally stopped doing that as a career. And then I started working in a health food store, right? So there we go. I had control. I assumed it. Okay. Lifestyle. Okay, so that's some of those things that I've recommended about like eliminating toxins would be a part of the lifestyle. But it's like you want to become the person who starts to ask yourself, is what you're doing natural? Okay. If you actually just start looking at making choices from that perspective, you're starting on that paradigm shift. You're not going to have to go to your nutritionist and say, should I eat this? Is it healthy? No, you have this new paradigm where you choose the most natural thing that's going to be the least toxic, hopefully not toxic at all, but sometimes we just choose the lesser of two evils. Okay. And, choose the natural makeup, choose the restaurant that serves locally grown organic food. It just becomes a way of life. Shop at the organic grocery store. Okay. If budget's an issue, then you do other little things, like you go to the environmental working group and you download their Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, and you buy the Clean 15 conventional to save some money there, but you make sure that you buy the other vegetables that are on the Dirty Dozen. You buy those organic. Okay. And then you work your way there to turning everything over into, as much of a natural lifestyle as possible. When you do that, you've taken control where you have the ability to have control, but you don't have to be like crazy about it. Okay. And sometimes you have just decisions about things that, aren't that good for you, but they serve you on some other level, right? Like we're nourished not just by the food that we eat, but we're nourished by sometimes experiences, right? So I'll tell you one of the things that I adopted like last summer. See these nails? They're fake as heck. Okay. And actually these are major claws. I don't actually usually get them this long and this crazy looking. But of course they're toxic. Okay. But I like them. They're making me happy right now. Okay. So I choose to do this. If I was suffering from a disease that was serious, do you think I would have fake nails on? God, no. Okay. You have to be extreme when you're in an extreme situation. Okay. But when you're not, if you don't identify as being sick, you don't have to be so perfectionist that you act like a sick person, right? Okay. Because that can be a problem, right? When people start learning about all this stuff and they start to get this like natural paradigm, they can get extreme about it. And then it starts serving them negatively because they start looking at everything as like, oh my God, like, well, what if I get that extra chemical and then that triggers cancer or something like that, right? It can get too extreme. But if you already have cancer, you're going to have to be more concerned than someone else because you're in the healing phase. Okay. But if you're not sick, don't act like a sick person. Okay. And even if you've been diagnosed with a sick disease, a sickness or a disease name, don't identify with it. Just do what you have control over and then see yourself as healthy and act like a healthy person. Okay. And that from that identity, you will create health beyond even all this physical stuff, right? Okay. Number 6, paradigm shift. So there we go. For most people, when they just learn that they have control over their health and that they can change things, that itself is a paradigm shift. And like I said earlier in this training, it actually plays out in multiple areas of your life. You start to see the world in a different way. You start to see yourself as more powerful. Okay. Like I had to have a different level of trust in myself and in nature to be able to have, first a home birth and then secondly, an unassisted birth. If you don't know what that means, it's basically where you choose to give birth without any medical intervention whatsoever, even midwives. Okay. My paradigm was totally shifted about my body, what it's capable of, what's natural. Don't recommend doing that if you don't have the paradigm shift yet for it, right? Because you can create all sorts of drama when you believe that you can do something consciously, but subconsciously you don't believe in it, right? That's how women get transported to the hospital from home births, because they may consciously think they're safer at home, but their subconscious mind thinks they're safer in the hospital, so it just won't give birth at home, right? It's like everything is like, again, comes back to mindset. Okay. And you want that paradigm shift, right? Because you want your world to be opened to new possibilities, right? You transcend this limitation of belief of like that everything is happening to you and you're a victim of your life and your health to realizing you're a conscious co-creator of it. And it opens your world to see things in new ways, to see new possibilities. Number 7, an environmental shift. This is so important. Far too many people are not able to access their vitality because they are not where they need to be in life. And I'm talking about all sorts of different levels, from like the home you live in to the job you have to the country you live in even. I like to use this analogy. I don't even know who it came from first. I usually like to give credit for these amazing analogies, but I can't think of where I got this from. But it amazingly illustrates your health potential and your potential to be who you're really meant to be in life. And it's like, okay, think about this. If I go and take a seed from a plant that's indigenous to Hawaii and I plant it here in Kelowna, what do you think is going to happen to that seed? If that plant would grow at all, it's going to be like a piddly little not thriving version of what it's capable of being because it's in the wrong environment. Okay. So what about you? Are you living your life purpose? Are you doing what you're meant to be doing in this world? Do you like your job? Are you surrounded by people that love and support you? Are you living in an environment that inspires you? Okay. Like those things make such a huge difference. One way of living is supporting you and building your energy and allowing you to be fully self-expressed and creative. And the other is just sucks the life out of you. You just don't have the resources in that environment to be your best self. Okay. So I would encourage you all, all of this stuff is important, but that's a big one that I would sit with and really think about. Have you been planted as this beautiful seed that you are, that you have all this potential? Have you been planted in the right environment for that potential to be expressed? And if you haven't, this is one of the reasons why your vital force can be really low and make you susceptible to disease. Emotional release. This is number 8. Okay, so all of the emotional baggage from unhealed trauma that you've experienced in the past, things that you've suppressed and pushed down because our society tells us, like, up to a certain age, you're allowed to cry, but then suddenly you're not allowed to cry, or specifically boys aren't allowed to cry. When you don't let those emotions come through, they get held in your body and they have like molecular weight, their energy, right? So they will literally press against your organ systems and cause it to be harder for you to heal. This is why it's so important to, include something like energy work or acupuncture, acupressure, all this, whatever, energy work you resonate with, to help you to get this energy moved out of your body. Okay. You can also use what I use, which is the Sedona method, also known as emotional release technique. And I also like EFT and theta healing. Those are my 3 favorite ways of working with energy. And I love teaching them to people because it's something that you don't need somebody to do for you. I like that there's energy modalities out there that you need somebody to do it for you, because actually we should be interdependent on one another. Our world focuses way too much on independence, and that's not right. Like, it's just not right. That is not how, as humans, we were programmed to thrive. And so it is really great. Part of the healing process can sometimes just be involving somebody in working with you, right? It's just that synergy. Like I said earlier, that person can hold you as healed until you can do it for yourself. And you borrow their faith until you get there yourself. But then you have that love and that person, holding the space for you and just being there for you. We all need that. So as much as, I'd love to give you something that you can do on your own, I think you also really would benefit from working with healers. Okay, so I told you about the time that I worked with an energy healer for mono. And like another time in my life, I consistently went. And so this is part of it, consistency, okay? Commit to it for a long period of time. Another time in my life, I committed to seeing a Reiki healer for every single month for an entire year. And at that point in my life, I felt like, oh my God, I wasn't going there for anything physical to heal. But I was going there and getting all this spiritual growth benefits. So it's at that point in my life, I feel like I'd never grown spiritually as fast as I did that year from doing that energy work, right? Sitting down, setting an intention, and unblocking things using the energy medicine. So you can tap into, once you eliminate all those blocked emotions, all that heaviness, all that stuckness, all the stuff that haven't been willing to look at by suppressing. When you release that, you actually are able to be more in tune with your inner guidance, and you'll be less afraid to take your health into your own hands because you'll be listening better. You'll be hearing better. You'll be trusting more. Okay. People hear voices. They hear voices that tell them what to do. Okay. This is not because they're crazy. Okay. This is because they are connecting into, the universe, God, the collective unconscious. They're getting answers, but you have to make space for that. Okay. Okay. Number 10, mindset work. Okay. So I talked about this earlier. I'm just going to repeat it. Okay. You have to get your mind to stop focusing on the negative by conscientiously taking the time to focus on the positive. So you do the journaling work, the affirmations, reading stories of people who've healed themselves, reading stories of, it doesn't even have to be the disease that, you're suffering with. It could be just healing stories. Just see how often people heal themselves of incurable things to get that belief programmed in your mind. Okay. And like I did when I had mono, I had to spend all my free time studying health. All my free time. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. You're worth it. You're worth it. If you're sick and bedridden, well, then read a book. If you're too sick to open the book, get audios and put them on and go to audible.com and just download book after book after book. It can be also stuff that is not necessarily specifically health related, but that teaches you that you're a conscious co-creator. So I would recommend checking out this man. His name is Neville Goddard. I have I think 8 of his books on Audible. And he'll basically show you over and over in different ways how to continually keep programming your mind to consciously create instead of being on automatic, subconscious, just keeping on creating the crap. Okay. It'll help you get a hold of your mind. You can't just hear it once from this video. You have to keep like programming it and consistent, and just keep telling yourself until you believe it. Okay. Because you won't always believe things right away. You'll be like, I want to believe that, but the truth is I don't, right? It's like, fine, acknowledge that truth. See what energy that brings up. Stop suppressing that you don't believe it. Let it come up, right? Just let it all go. Keep letting emotions go. And the Sedona method is great for that. Okay, so your mindset work can include the emotional release and the actual consciously programming things into your mind. Intentionally setting aside the time for it every single day. If it takes 8 hours to get back into a positive state of mind, well, then so be it. That's what you're going to have to do. And if you have to get shit done, then you're going to have to play these audios in the background. If you can't just sit down and read a book, just do whatever you can. It has to be prioritized, right? Number 11, community. So I mentioned this just a little bit earlier, how important it is to be surrounded by people who believe in you. So I'm not going to, reiterate that so much on the practitioner side, because you pull in practitioners. But what about people who are not your practitioners? Where can you find friends who are, maybe doing the same thing that you are, who are taking their health into their own hands, and help each other, talk about what you're learning, share with one another, cook with one another. I mean, do you know that your body, when you make delicious food in the company of others and eat it in the company of others, you produce the love hormone. So wow, that's a healing force in your body. And you don't have to be alone in all this. There's other people who also are on this journey, and they want the support of you and the connection with you. So I would even put up a poster on a telephone pole and say, this is what's going on for me, and I'm looking for other people who want to explore this together. And you can literally create an entire community. You might have friends for life from doing this. Instead of the other way, what people often do is they identify with other people who are sick like them, and they go into little victim consciousness mode and just complain about their illnesses, which does not help in any way, shape, or form. It just keeps them going. I'm not going to repeat these again, the details, because you know why I believe in them. I already mentioned the body work and the energy work, right? And the distinction between the body work and the energy work is that the energy work, often people are not physically touching you because they're working with energy, but the body work is where people are touching you, right? So like massage, for example, okay, would be a great thing to add just for that human connection, or reflexology, or some other way of being pleasurably touched. This is essential for our health, okay, is just even hugs, right? Hug your kids, hug your partner, hug your friends. Just open to being more physically expressive with your affection and opening up to experiencing more affection. And, just the tension that's released, right? So you can come back into the present moment is very much something that you'll get both from the body work and the energy work. And finally, number 14, a new passion in life. Okay. If you do not know what your passion is in life at this point, it's going to be hard for you to, just access that inner vitality. So it's not about, going, where's my passion? Where's my passion? Oh, I'm trying to figure it out. You don't have to do that. What you do is you literally follow all of your heart's longings, and you just explore new things. Okay. And you just open your mind, and you just move through life like that. And I promise you, it will land in your lap. Okay? It will just land in your lap. And suddenly you'll realize you have a passion for something. Okay. And you'll get up in the morning and be really excited to do that thing, study that thing. For me, it was nutrition. So, it's been 20 years now. And I'm just as passionate about this topic now as I was 20 years ago. That's how I know it's a passion, right? Because it doesn't go away, okay? And that it fuels me, right? It gets me going. Sometimes I don't feel like doing what I said I was going to do, just like anyone else, okay? Maybe I got up in the morning this morning and I was like, oh, I feel like doing something else. But the passion that I have for this excites me to get on here to do it. And that you can see is something that gives you a lot of energy. If it was something I felt like I had to do and I didn't want to do it, and I didn't have any passion around it, well, then it wouldn't be as fun, would it? So it would start to become draining. So if you're not doing what you love, you're not able right now to access that energy that would also enliven your vital healing force. Okay, so it's doing this work, and also at this exact moment, accepting that you can find a way to be happy despite your circumstances. Okay. Once you actually figure out how to do that, and you'll do it by doing this mindset work and this emotional releasing. I promise, if you do it, it's not going to work by knowing about it, but if you actually do it, you'll come to a place where you literally will be able to experience happiness despite your circumstances, because you'll have learned that you have control over refocusing your mind and being able to access happiness no matter what the circumstances. Once you're able to do that with every condition in your life, then the condition will change. But when we are in resistance to it and like whining about it and feeling like a victim about it, all we do is recreate it. So I cannot stress enough the mindset work and how important that is. All right, so I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover here. Yes, I did cover everything. So I'm gonna just check and see if there was any thing else here. Oh, I had a little bit more show and tell for you guys, actually, of some cool things that I wanted to show you as resources. Is there a book? Oh yeah, so I answered this question about books, Jamie, but I have 2 more to show you. Actually, I have a few more books to show you. Okay, so for those of you who are, like you're a do-it-yourselfer, this excites you, you want to just run with it, I've given you every resource that I can possibly think of to literally do this on your own. I encourage you, if you don't at least invite practitioners into your world, that you look for creating this community to surround you, to support you to do this, okay? But if you are interested in getting help and support to do it, you want to be a part of a circle of women to do this kind of work on your health, just message me. I have a program where we work in a group scenario. So you get some private coaching with me to work on things in a private, just you and me kind of setting. And then also there's weekly meetings in a group where you can get coaching and emotional release work and all that kind of stuff, help to do it, right? Because sometimes it's hard. Like once you get this, you might resonate with it and go, this is exactly what I need, but then find yourself not doing that, not doing it. And if that's you, then I recommend messaging me and we can get on a call and chat about how I can help you, or you can, join one of my programs or just work privately together. Either or will work. But I know for myself, when I learned about emotional releasing, for example, and this is actually an answer to Oksana's question in another thing. So Oksana, if you're watching this is my answer. Because she was saying, like, she saw the emotional release video that I did, and she was saying, oh my God, she went to the Sedona method, and there was like this course with like a book with 300 pages. And she's like, oh my God, I'll never have time to do this. So she was asking for my feedback on, is there another way to do it? And so I just want to say, like, it's not even so much, the more you do it, the better, but it's just that you do it will make a difference. When I first started with the release technique, I did 30 minutes twice a month. And I swear to you, my life transformed at that point for like in 6 months, and much more since then. And I just did that with the simple releasing method that I taught you in that one video, okay? I didn't even use any other methods. I learned more later, but just that very simple method in the video about releasing guilt is enough. I was looking at I apologize if sometimes in this video I'm looking there and somebody's there and somebody's there. It's like, I can't even see myself. So I just move around, which is another thing I want to work on. Another stubborn thing for me is that I'm not going to get laser eye surgery, but I, have all these books about how to heal your eyesight naturally. And it's like on my agenda of things to work on. So anyhow, that's that. Just that little bit of releasing work made such a difference. So I would recommend just getting the Sedona book, okay, and working through the exercises in there as you can. And if you don't, even like read that book, if all you do is do the emotional yoga technique that I shared in that video, where you just find the spot where you feel the tension in your body and just bring your breath and awareness to it and sit with it till it's gone, that's enough. That can be totally transformative. And then later you can upgrade to the book or to purchasing the Sedona Method course. The Sedona Method course, it allows you to be more passive in learning it, because you'll literally just play it. You'll lie down and you'll be guided to release. Whereas if you do it on your own, then, hey, Oksana, she's here, yay. If you try to do it on your own, you're going to have to be more active in terms of like learning the method, right? So, it's totally up to you. And if you do purchase that program, you get to have all the materials, right? So you can do it, over and over for years to come on, because every time, even if you do the same release, if you do it 5 years from now, new stuff will come up. So you're never done with it. You use it forever, right? I have it, by the way. I also have the one by Larry Crane, which is the release technique. So I've dealt quite deeply into this work, and I highly recommend it, but you can just start with a simple, it will make a difference. Okay, so a little bit more show and tell of things I want to show you. Okay, for those of you who have children, this is like the prescriptions for nutritional healing for children. Oh, it is so amazing. I love it. It is going to help you feel really confident as a mother to use natural medicine, or as a father. It's got everything you need to know about every condition that you would use naturally. Plus, it has a section on how to know if something's an emergency and when you should see a medical doctor. So you can feel totally confident to systematically go through everything that's natural first, and only move to the drugs and surgery if necessary. And rest assured knowing that you did do everything that you could do. And that's the thing, like if you do have to use Western medicine and you don't like that idea, you're going to be able to let go of your resistance to it much better if you actually did all the other work first, right? If you did the inner work, if you did the natural medicine, and because you can only get healthier in the process, even if you're not getting the results that you exactly wanted. There's never any harm, right, in working in this way. It's always going to be to your benefit. Okay, so some more books on the emotional aspect of healing. So one is Healing Wise. I love this book. Oh my God. This is my favorite all-time health book ever. Okay. Susan actually has a little system in here where she literally lays out how to go through what she calls the Wise Woman Steps of Healing. So if you have a disease or disorder, you literally walk through, it's pretty much what I told you, but she lays it out in a more linear fashion to help you come up with ideas of how you can actually implement the different healing modalities at the different levels, right? So you start off with, I have an entire training on this as well, but that would take another hour. But you're just going to go from literally, I'm going to go really quick. So it's collect the information. So first is do nothing. Okay. Because sometimes you don't need to do anything. You just need to wait. You need more, you wait for insight or whatever. Then or look for a sign or something like that. And then you go into collecting information. You need to know what you're working with if you're going to heal it, right? Then once you've done that, you collected the information, then you can go into things like energy medicine, and then and journaling and all that kind of stuff. And then you can move into the physical medicine. So you do the natural health remedies, right? And, only after that, you can go into drugs, or, what Susan calls break and enter, right? Like surgery and things like that. So I recommend this. This is an amazing book. It has not only that really great system that she's laid out, but also she talks about the Wise Woman tradition versus the heroic tradition and the scientific tradition. So all of you will be familiar with the scientific tradition, but the heroic tradition you may not be aware of, and the Wise Woman tradition. This is for those of you who are interested more in the philosophy of how to look at natural healing. And it's just too much. I can't even go into it right now. It's just my favorite book. It's full of herbal recipes for using herbs as not just medicine, but as nutrition, because there's a lot of nutrition in herbs if you use them as herbal infusions and things like that. And then Anatomy of the Spirit. This is by Carolyn Mize. She's a medical intuitive. She basically helps you to recognize what emotional mental blocks are associated with different organ systems in your body, so that you have a place to start when you want to start looking at the metaphysical causes of disease, and also gives you journal exercises for insight to what to get yourself to look into. And then this one here is the 12 Stages of Healing by Donald Epstein. And he lays out, the consciousness levels that we go through in taking our power back. Okay. And it's fantastic. It's a fantastic book, not only for people that want to heal themselves, but people who work with people to help them heal, because it'll help you to identify where your client's at, to make sure that you're giving them information that is assimilatable for them where they're at their level of ability to take responsibility for their health. Because like I said, if you empower somebody when they're not ready for it, it can scare them, because they don't feel ready to take their health into their own hands, but then their approval seeking things sets in, and then they don't know who to believe, and they don't know what to do, and then they get freaked out. Okay, so we have to be really careful about how we work with people, because words are medicine, and how we speak to people and how we deliver the message is just as important as the message. And it's really, really important not to say things that can cause fear. So you do your best to speak what you believe to be true, but saying it in a way that is the most affirming and empowering for someone else, so that your words can actually be medicine that can help them heal themselves. All right, so that's it. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. I think it's been really long. Yeah, almost 2 hours. I appreciate you staying till the end. And like I said, I'm going to eventually upload this to my business page and YouTube video if you feel like you would like to share it with somebody who is ready to hear this message. All right, thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.